Okay, alrighty, here we are. Let me adjust this. It's not doing too good. Hang on 1 second. Alright, that's a bit better. Now I can see you guys. Okay, we'll just wait a couple of minutes. Sorry we're a bit late, still letting people in the group. And a couple have missed out, so I'll let them in the break. Alright. Okay, so just wait a few minutes. Okay, there's that, and there's our questions. Okay. Alright, so absolutely welcome everyone. We've got a large group today. Some people have not been able to make it. Just sorting myself out here. It's been non-stop rush this morning to get people in, and then someone took my normal spot to take photos of themselves laying over the table, and a little disturbing. you know that kind of laying over the table and all sorts of things. So it was kind of like, okay, so I'll find somewhere else. Okay, unfortunately I have to do this in the park because where I live is not a suitable place at all. Okay, so today we've got some wonderful topics, which is unbelievably necessary for going forward with humanitarian projects and working with ETs and what we need to do. So it's not about working in the projects, it's about working in a vibrational frequency with the beings that you will be working with. Okay, so it's kind of related, but it's not, if you get what I mean. Okay, so we've got extraterrestrials, multi-dimensional beings, the secret space program, and life on Venus. Now, with all of this, as with everything, it is from my perspective. Perspection. Where did I get that word? Perspection. I have no idea. That's a whole nother word. I need a new dictionary for some of my words. Okay, so, and this is the same with everybody. So if you look at Randy Kramer, if you look at Tony Rodriguez, if you look at Ileana, all of them, it's all from their own perspective. Okay, we can only comment from our own personal experience. We can't comment on how it is because everybody experiences it differently. Okay, completely differently, everybody. So this is always from my perspective. Your experience may be different, may be completely different to how you remember or what you're experiencing now, and just take it or leave it. But working in the projects in the SSP with medbeds and with ETs, face to face, side by side, inside, outside, all the other stuff, this is from my perspective and what you will need in order to move forward to work in the projects from a vibrational standpoint. Okay, so yeah, we'll get going. What we'll do is we'll do the first part. So I'll talk about one topic, and then I'll go back and read the comments, and then I'll move on to the next topic, and then I'll read the comments, and then we'll have a 5-minute break, and then we'll do the same in the second part. Okay, and we've got a couple of questions to answer at the end. Okay, so I'm going to start with, let me see which one's the easiest to get us rolling into the morning. Okay, I'll start with life on Venus. No, I'll start with the secret space program, and then I'll move to life on Venus, and then we'll do ETs and multidimensional beings after. Okay. There is a lot of noise here. It's very busy. It's a beautiful day. It's cold, but it's beautiful. Okay, so SSP, what is it? Secret Space Program. Okay, now the Secret Space Program is a branch of the black projects of the military, of the Defense Force, and most countries have it. Not all countries, okay? We know the USA, we know Germany, Russia, China, Australia, England, you know, the main countries, okay? I believe Iraq has an SSP. They're not that advanced, but they do have people that work in the main one. I was part of the Air Force, okay, in the SSP. The Navy part, so you've got the Navy, I'm talking the US, which is the main one, okay? So in the main one, the US one, we've got the Navy and the Air Force. Okay, so the Navy, they have, I'm not into all the terms and everything, okay? So I don't do research about this stuff. I just go from my memory. When I do research, nothing pops up. It's like, yeah, right, whatever. So I just go by memory, okay? They have like the Dark Fleet and all the other fancy names, the ones that assist in abductions, the ones that, you know, they work with the dark agenda, the dark greys and all of that, and the dark reptilians. Okay, so they are not entirely, oh god, look at my hair, it's wild. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. They are not really, they're advanced. They're really advanced. They still have dinosaur technology compared to what Venus has. God, sounds like people are bombing here. Sounds like there's bombs going off just over the hill. Okay, so the Navy part of the SSP, they are very high tech, very high tech. They have everything. They got everything you could possibly imagine. They got the med beds. They've got literally everything. Now the Air Force part, they do have everything, but it's not as advanced. So their technology is kind of like 1 or 2 levels down from the Navy. Okay, the Navy, they're the ones that did all the deals, so they're the ones that get the great technology. The Air Force haven't done as many deals and is not as old as the Navy section, so they have the lesser technology, so they have to learn and develop. So I was part of the Air Force. My job in the SSP was a healer, an ascension or consciousness coach, mentor. I taught people to use the med beds as well as using them myself. I was get your words together. I was down in the tunnels under Melbourne rescuing children as part of the SSP, and the majority of my time in the SSP was spent on Venus, and that was as a coach, as a mentor, as a guide. Basically, when we have new people come into the SSP, depending on what section they're sent to, you're sent to training, okay? And that part of that training was on Venus, and we only have small groups, maybe 20, maybe 30 people, and they learn telepathic communication, they learn healing techniques, they learn advanced healing technology, you know, computer technology, all that sort of thing. So that they're extremely advanced. So what the Navy section has of the SSP, of the technology, add another 1,000 years advancement at least, and that's Venus technology. So humanity, the Navy has the iPhone 1, Venus has the iPhone 1000. Okay, so you can imagine all the incredible technologies we're about to receive. Increase that by 1,000, 10, you know, so much better. What we're looking at, what we're getting, humanity's getting, and what the SSP has is dinosaur tech. And that's what the ETs call it, is dinosaur tech, because it literally is that old. Okay, so the SSP is very compartmentalized. That's a really big word for me, and I always stuff it up. So you don't have, you know, they don't all work together. You have one part here and you have another part here, and it's like there's blocks between them. You know, nobody knows what anyone else is doing, and anyone who's been in the military knows that secrecy within the departments is a big thing. So, you know, you have your soldiers who go out, especially on Mars and the Moon, especially Mars, and they go and battle. You have all sorts of different things. Now, one thing that the SSP does, and they do it very well, is experimentation on all kinds of beings, including humans. Okay, now a lot of people that are abducted and blame the Greys is actually the SSP. Okay, so the SSP is not entirely our friend, depending on who you're dealing with, depending on what they want with you. So for some people, they have absolutely I'm sorry, I can't accept anybody at the moment. I'm doing the video. Nobody else can get in. Once the video starts, that's it. Okay, I'll let them in the break, but this is, I can't. Okay, so once you enlist in the SSP, okay, which you are not asked. You are taken, you are chosen, okay, for service. So literally, you're taken out of your bed at night, you're transported usually up to the Lunar Command Center, which is on the moon, and you're sat down and you're told, sign here, okay? You're just told, sign here, okay? So you have to sign. There's nowhere for you to go. You can't run anywhere. You know, you're on the moon. You can't run back to your family or anything. So they give you all these nice little things, you know, oh, you get paid this, you'll get paid that, and blah, blah, blah. You don't get anything, okay? You don't get paid while you're serving there. You don't get any money when you come out or when you retire or anything. They wipe your memory, put you back in bed, bring you back in time, so they age regress you, and drop you off back in your bed only a few minutes after they picked you up, and you got no idea about any of it. So everything's wiped from your memory, or not wiped, but rather blocked, okay? And then you go on and live your life. Now, we have the 20 and back program, which is what I just described, and you serve 20 years, and then they age regress you 20 years, and then they send you back in time and back to your bed, and you live your life. I have heard of people doing 3 or 4 20-year programs, okay? I haven't, not to my knowledge. These memories are very hard to retrieve, and it takes a long time, okay, to retrieve memories. So as far as I'm aware, I've done about 6 or 7 years intermittently, so not all at once, just off and on. And the reason why I spend most of my time on Venus when I do go is because I am Venusian. I incarnated literally from Venus. So my main incarnation on Venus, that part of my consciousness on Venus, incarnated into this life for this purpose. Okay, so that's why I was born into it. I wasn't chosen. I was literally born into it for this reason. And one of the reasons is to, I'm saying a lot, I don't know. I'm thinking as I'm talking. One of the reasons is to bring the med beds to the public. And that's part of disclosure. So that's my job, to retrieve these memories, have that experience, and then bring disclosure to the public for the med beds. And there we have it. Okay, the SSP has not been that helpful to me from a consciousness training point of view. Absolutely, the lies and the deception and everything like that has been, as much as I hate it, literally hate it, and it's made my life hell, it's an absolute blessing, and I'm so thankful for it, because I've learned so much. And sometimes dancing with the devil gets a better result than walking with God or walking with the light. So sometimes you have to play a little dirty and play in the mud to get to to get to the other side and come out stronger. Okay, so that's my time in the SSP. There is not that much more. I have heard people say, oh, Skye, I remember you were captaining a ship and transporting us from blah 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 to blah blah blah. It's like, okay, but yeah, there's bases everywhere. Okay, we've got bases absolutely everywhere. Another base that I've been to is on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, if my memory serves. The moon's base is quite good, I do believe, and I understand the White Hats have taken that over now. It was run by the Navy faction of the SSP. Mars is a huge one. Okay, there was a lot of bad stuff to obtain the Mars land that we occupy. Some very dark stuff, which the Nazi part of Germany, when they went up, they took over and did some really nasty stuff to get the locals out, and not a nice faction of people. The Nazi regime on Mars is still full as it was when Hitler was here. And I did hear reports that Hitler, that's where he went. That's why he left the World War, and he went to Antarctica and got on a ship and went up to, I think they were at the moon base by then, and they migrated over to Mars. So we didn't win the war. Hitler actually won the war. He just changed his direction. So that's the SSP. It started in the 40s, the late 30s, like 38, 39, something like that. And the Germans were in full swing in the early 40s. And then I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it was the Russians after that, and then the US. The US is made up of England, I believe France, Australia, New Zealand. So the majority of the countries serve under the US. Okay, so I'll just go back and have a look at any questions, and if I can think of anything else, then I'll definitely bring it forward. Okay, let me have a look. Okay. Alright. Yes, someone did start a video, but that I deleted that because that wasn't right. Okay. We do have a group of people that's walking around, so if you hear some people talking and all, unfortunately I'm at a public park and my normal spot was taken. Okay. Every time I touch the screen, it goes back. Okay, let me see. Love your hair. I hate it. Thank you. I hate it. It does whatever the hell it wants. It's wild. It's wild. Is the SSP bad people then? Look, they have their agendas. Like everyone and everything, the SSP have their own agendas, and the Navy part, they have the agenda of we get the technology, we get the best, we get this, we get that. The Air Force is kind of on the kinder side. They're not going to go and murder a whole bunch of people to get one tiny bit of technology. You know, they'll go in the back door and take it without casualties, where the Navy will go in all guns blazing. Okay, so it, like everything, you know, you've got, with, like, for example, if you've got the Special Forces, you've got some really good guys that they want to do nothing but preserve life, and then others who will, you know, take out whoever's in their way to get to their target. So it's the same in everything. Again, it just depends on who you meet and what they want you for. You cannot sign up and join the SSP. You are chosen or you are born into it. Okay, there is no sign up, there's no contact. It's not your choice. Okay, you're either pulled into it or you're born into it. And people that are usually chosen because they've got high psychic abilities. Okay, they've got very strong psychic abilities, and they're usually the ones that's taken and chosen. And what they used to do to get people into line is a lot of MK Ultra. The Navy was very famous for that, for doing a lot of MK Ultra to get their people to do what they want. And the Air Force, I believe, did use a bit of it, but they're a lot softer in their approach. Okay, they're a bit more mind manipulative, but they're not that the full hands-on. You know, I'm going to chop your head off, and I'm not going to keep killing you until you do what we want, because they've got the med beds, so you never really die. They can always just throw you in another body if they need to, if your body's too badly maimed. So yeah, it depends on who you meet. Okay, super exciting. It is. I would like to know how you ended up in the SSP. Oh yeah. Do you remember all of it? Absolutely not. Hello, little bird. Got a magpie looking at me. No, I don't remember all of it. I don't even remember half of it. What I do remember, I'm allowed to remember to... Excuse me. Thank you. I'm allowed to remember so I can bring forward. Okay? So it's really, really difficult. Some of the things you don't want to remember. I don't believe for 1 second I've had MK Ultra or anything like that. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe I've been physically tormented, just mentally tormented in my spiritual development, but that's a whole nother story. But it's, you know, it's a godsend. If they wipe your memory and age, okay, so unless you have the memories, some people have bleed through memories or like deja vu, that they just know that they've been age regressed or anything like that. I don't believe I have been age regressed, not at all. I've only done 6 or 7 years completely, so instead of 42, I'm about 48. But according to my birth certificate, I'm 42. So, you know, it just depends. Everyone's different. Okay, some people are just taken for a couple of months, which they're not age regressed or anything, and then they're sent back. That some people are just taken for training to learn to use computer stuff, so when the time comes that they're needed, they're taken again, and then those memories are opened up, and then they've got all their training that they need. It really is dependent on each individual person and what your purpose with them is. Okay, so there is no black and white. Everything in the SSP is grey. It's not this or that. It's maybe this, maybe that, maybe both, but nobody knows. Okay, and like I said, nobody from this faction or this department knows what this department's doing. It's just completely and totally compartmentalized, and you just don't know. And this is why a lot of people, you know, the same in the military, a lot of people don't know about the med beds. I knew a truck driver in the military that did 4 tours, and he knew about the med beds, and he was offered them, and when I was talking to one of his friends, she said, "What's that?" And I didn't even know he knew about it, and he just blurted it all out, and I'm like, okay. Okay, he was telling me all about it. So it's very, very compartmentalized, and your mind is compartmentalized as well. So they can send you out to do a job, and you will get blown up. They'll bring you back, heal you in the med beds, wipe your memory, and then send you out the next day so you're not scared, and you won't even realize that you've already done it, or that, you know, you were there yesterday. Okay, so they don't do very nice things. They don't treat you very well. The scientists they treat well. The doctors and all they treat quite well. But if you're one of the lower ranking people, you're a number. Literally, you're a number, and that's it. Okay, so yeah, I was a healer and a consciousness mentor coach. Okay, how does the SSP pick the people? Yep, we've already covered that. If you're either born or you're chosen from your psychic abilities. And a lot of people that are chosen, they come from broken backgrounds. So, you know, they come from domestic abuse and alcoholic parents and, you know, drug abuse, all that sort of stuff. So when they are age regressed and their memory's wiped, you know, it doesn't mean anything. And they're easier to manipulate and control when you come from an abusive background. And when they're doing MK Ultra and all the mind altering stuff, it's much easier to do that to someone who has been abused. They're more susceptible to the manipulation. Okay. Okay. Just going through, how many children were you involved with from the DUMS in Oz? Where are they now? I remember going into the DUMS under Melbourne. I was awake completely, but what they do, and they do this often, the SSP, they take your consciousness and put it into either a cloned body or just some other body that they've bred or created. And you can do entire things and live a whole nother life in this other created body with your consciousness in that body. Pardon me. So I never left my bed, okay, but I was laying there literally wide awake, and I would see myself. I was wearing white robes, I believe I was a healer from Venus. I was with my other incarnation, and our consciousnesses merged. And yeah, I was pulling out these little tiny kids from cages. And I remember there was one child which really stuck in my mind, and he would have been about 2, and he had big round green eyes, and he had the ears of a donkey and a donkey tail, and he had little bits of like donkey fur on his body, and he just had this really big smile, and his arms just come up to me, and I just picked him up and I hugged him, and so much was exchanged in that one moment. And then so I literally pulled him out of the cage that he was in, on the bottom cage, and I handed him to the medical team. And a lot of the children that were pulled out of the DUMS did not make it. They couldn't make it. They literally couldn't. It's too much physical trauma, too much mental trauma, and most of them, their spirit, had experienced what they were meant to, and a lot of them didn't even have spirits. They were just clones and hybrid creations without any emotion or any intelligence or nothing. So a lot of the time, the decisions were made to euthanize those children. The ones who do have spirit and are physically normal, they went to a range of different planets, a range of different medical institutions on different planets, and they are getting expert care. It has taken a very long time to get some of the children out, because they have been born, so deep underground. The altitude, the difference in pressure, you have to bring them up very, very slowly, and a lot of those children still, some of them are still in the DUMS, and some of them are in specialized chambers on spacecrafts from different ET races, and they're getting specialized care so that those kids can get healed and can live a half decent life, can make something for themselves. So yeah, I reckon we pulled out within a week that we would have found about, in the section I was in, about 75,000 children. And when you walk through the tunnels, the one tunnel I remember where I pulled this little boy out, it was quite a narrow tunnel, and it had like hospital beds on both sides, and just one little light every now and then, so it was very, very dark. And all of a sudden it opens up to this enormous, almost cave-like cavern, and it was stacked, literally to the roof of cages with kids and young women, pregnant young women, to give birth to these hybrids and all sorts. And from what we found out in that one cave, however, whatever you want to describe it as, is that deep state members would go down there, and it was like a selling hall. So they could say, okay, I want that 13-year-old child who's pregnant with twin dog-human hybrids, that sort of thing. And then they would pull them down, and they take them, and away they go. So it was not nice. It was absolutely not nice. But this one little child has just stuck in my mind. He was just the most beautiful little soul. And I heard he went to the Pleiadians, that they're looking after him, and because of his genetics, they cannot reverse it, because he is literally a hybrid. They cannot change that, but they can give him, a decent life. Okay, so yeah. Is there a way to get rid of Hitler? Yes, kill his soul, destroy it. They do have technology to destroy souls. Okay, but Hitler, remember, Hitler is just having an experience just like you are. It's just we don't agree with the experience he's chosen. Okay, but he's no better or worse than you or I. It's just an experience. Okay, that's all. It's just one side of the coin. Yep, I'll get to Venus. Hang on a second. Elena Danan has said that Mars and the moon is clear and free of deep state entities, including reptilians. Yes. Now, the moon still has reptilians. They are not the evil ones. Well, there is no such thing as evil, but they're not the dark ones. Okay. Akhenaten, the Egyptian god, he is in charge of the positive ET race there, and that is his home base. Okay. He brought the moon to our solar system for the terraforming of Earth. Okay, so yeah, not all reptilians are bad. Okay, some of them are very positive and very good, and they're brilliant, high vibrational beings. So please try not to class all reptilians as bad. There's over 1,000 different races, and some of them are brilliant. Okay, they're very, very good. Akhenaten, I call him Aten for short. He is a bit of a trickster. Lovely guy. Again, if you're on the right side of him, he has a massive temper, and he will just as quickly chop your head off as he would give you a hug and embrace you and care for you. Okay, so don't get on the bad side of Aten, but he is a good guy. Okay, he's not that into light and dark, and he's quite, neutral. But if you have a question, he's extremely, extremely intelligent. Like, if you've got a biology problem or a technology problem, you go to him. He's like the tops. Okay. I believe they used the med beds already on the children in the military and the dumbs, correct? Absolutely. How would one know if they were in the SSP? Good question. Either you have memories that bleed through, and they can come at any time. You can have feelings, or just a simple knowing. That's really prominent as well. Just a knowing that you wake up in the morning, I know I've been somewhere, I know I've been doing something. Chances are, yes, you are serving in the SSP. And you don't have to serve, a straight 20-year or a straight year. You can have one day here, one day there, or a month here or a month there. It just depends on your position and what they need at the time. Okay. Is the Earth a separate planet, and is Venus and Mars other planets like we see in NASA photos, or are they part of another chunk of Earth on the same Earth? This is very interesting. This is really interesting, and I always believed that Earth, Mars, Venus, all of that were completely separate planets. However, delving deeper into it, what I have begun to learn is that, and there's a reason for this, is that everything, this reality, this physical reality, this dimension, whatever you want to call it, is a computer-generated program. And the SSP is also part of that. This physical life in this dimension is a computer-generated program. So, pardon me, if you lay it all out flat, what you have is just take a piece of paper and draw circles on it. Okay? That is one dimension. That planet is one reality. Another planet is another reality. Another planet is another reality. Remember, none of it exists, because physical reality is just an illusion. So this is all consciousness. So when you go in the secret space program and you're jumping from one planet to another, it still appears as different planets. But in reality, so in the illusion, what you're actually doing is you're just going from one conscious experience to another. So when you get in a spaceship and you fly, what you're doing is you're just going through the conscious shift of realities. It's extremely complicated, very complicated. So the Earth isn't flat or round. None of the planets are, because none of them exist. It's a collective agreement of a collective consciousness to exist within that particular dimensional frame. Okay, so when someone says, is the Earth flat? It's like, do you want the short or the long version? Okay, so it is incredibly confusing. Okay, So, but for what we have agreed as spirits, what we have agreed to exist in this particular dimensional reality, they are separate planets. Okay, they are separate planets. At the same time, they don't exist. I know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It's crazy. So does the SSP work for the betterment of humanity? They are now. Okay, before it was for global, not even global, galactic, not domination, but galactic merging out to set up other civilizations and become a society of intergalactic communications, so to say, with not always with the best intentions in mind, but now they are working for the betterment of humanity. Okay, so the white hats have taken over, and they are good. They are good guys. Okay. I'd love to remember more about my origins. The last 5 months have been working on that. I now have more. Yeah. Remember, with your origins, you are always source energy. Always. You are not this or that. You are source energy, and you exist as all of it. So don't worry too much about your origins. They literally don't mean much at all, because you've had many incarnations on many different planets, as many different beings, in as many different realities. So where you come from is completely irrelevant. It's what you do now and what energy you bring forward now that determines your experience. Okay? So don't worry too much about your origins. They actually don't mean much. How would you know if you've taken part? Again, it's a feeling. Okay. Have any gotten ill from the experience? I haven't. Okay. I am still in a genetic program. I've no idea what they're doing to me, but they're doing something. I can't tell you any more than that. It's just, yeah. But yeah, a lot of people have, they have a lot of long-term medical issues. They really do. A lot of long-term medical issues, and yeah, there's nothing they can do about that. If you've gone to SSP, does that mean if your mum is looking for you, she can't find you? No, what they do is when they take you physically, say they take you at 11 p.m. Okay, everyone in the house is asleep, no problem. They'll take you for 20 years and bring you back at 11:15 p.m. the same night, because time doesn't exist. So they just tune in to the very specific vibrational frequency of that particular time and bring you back. So nobody misses anybody. You just have a really good night's sleep. And because they've wiped your mind, and they've probably given you drugs to put you asleep so you don't wake up. So you just have a really good sleep. A lot of the times when you've been taken or they've done something to you, you wake up groggy, like you've been anesthetized or had a surgery or some kind of anesthetic. Okay. All right, we'll have to leave this subject in a second. If I'm here now learning about medbeds, am I here on purpose? Always. You're always here on purpose. Nothing is ever an accident. Okay? Nothing is ever an accident. Your spirit leads you, and you are always where you're meant to be when you're meant to be there. You never miss a beat. Never. Never. Okay, what were the children used for? Why were they caged? They were bred in the underground tunnels for child trafficking, for experimentation, to sell to the highest bidder, to exchange to the negative ETs as food. Many, many, many different things. Many different things. The underground was the most disgusting place you couldn't even dream of it. It is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Okay, try not to worry too much, because those children have all agreed on the experience that they had. Okay, if they have a spirit. If they don't have a spirit, then it's just a physical vessel. It's just like a car, an empty car. Okay, it's how you use that car that makes a difference. And if you're in the undergrounds, then you know it's not nice. Okay, and a lot of the the children were born underground. There's no records of them ever being alive, ever existing, so no one misses them. So the authorities don't know that there's children missing, because there's never been any knowledge of them. So they were caged to keep them under control, like you would keep wild animals. So they can't run away, they can't fight back. Okay. Have all the children been rescued? I believe so, yes. Or in our care. Okay. Have all the dumps been cleared now? They have been cleared, I believe. I'm being told that they have been cleared. Not all of them are being blown up. Some of them are going to be used for good. So they'll turn them from dark to good. Okay. How are we going to know which beings are good or bad? Yep, I'll get to that. Why does listening to this make me cry so much? Because you resonate with it and you're empathic. So is it possible that all of us in this medbed scenario have also chosen ones? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Your path is not an accident. You didn't just stumble across it. Your soul put you here. My husband says I talk to people in my sleep. Is that part of being in the SSP? Probably not. It could be, but probably not. You're more than likely having a conversation with your galactic family. Okay. I'd love to remember more about my origins. I think I read that. Who runs the good side of SSP? The Air Force? Okay, I'll have to move on in a second. Can your gifts or abilities be passed to your kids, or do they just have their own gifts? It depends on the spirit of the child. Okay, if if they're coming in to be psychic or spiritual, then they will. Okay. The Matrix is for real. That's right. The physical reality is just an experience of consciousness. When, if ever, we all get these off-worlders to talk to them? Will we all get to meet those off-worlders? Not all. You have to be ready. Okay, you have to be ready for it. It's not just something that they're going to come and say hi. You know, if you haven't done the work, if you haven't put in the effort and done your shadow work and working on yourself, then they're not going to come and talk to you. It's that simple. Okay, because their light will create a darkness within you that with some people is irreversible. Okay. Do you feel humanity is special, sought after because of our God spark? Not at all. We're just another experience in the realm of consciousness. Where does God and Satan fit into this? Is it intergalactic war between good and evil? There is no good and evil. There is no God and Satan. It is a vibration. That's it. It's creation. It's vibration. There's no good. There's no bad. It's God and Satan is a human creation. Okay, we created it to give ourselves meaning. Okay, physical life is the meaning, is to experience, not to worship, not to follow, not to be this, not to be that. It's just to experience and to learn from it. Has it started? Yes. Yes, we're 45 minutes into it. Where does religion fit? Again, it's just a construct of human. Are you clairvoyant? I used to be until I became telepathic, then it was much easier. I heard when the solar flash happens, the matrix will be lifted and we'll be able to see everything like off-worlders, dragons, etc. If you're ready, okay, you have to be ready for it. You don't go from fearful 3D to full loving 5D. That's not how it works. Okay, you have to go through and work through it, because that's why you're here. You're here to learn through the experience. You're not here just to jump through shortcuts and things like that. So if you're lower 3D, then with the solar flash, you'll be higher 3D. If you're higher 3D, you'll be lower 4D. If you're lower 4D, you'll be higher 4D. If you're higher 4D, you'll be 5D. And if you're in 5D, then you'll jump up to 6D. Okay. Okay, how do you get ready? By doing the work. Okay, by doing the work. What created everything? Consciousness, creation. Okay, where it began, nobody knows, and people speculate. No one knows. Okay, so I'll move on to life on Venus. Okay, we've got 15 minutes to get through this one. I'll just have a quick drink. And we've got a whole family coming to have a picnic. Okay. It's better up at the other part where the boys, where I usually do it, where they're laying on the table taking selfies. Okay. Alright, life on Venus. Okay, so you have Venus. You all know what Venus looks like according to NASA, and that is what it looks like. Okay, when you're traveling on one of the galactic buses, okay, you're coming up to Venus, that is what it looks like. However, as you come closer, they open a portal. So you switch on technology and they open a portal and you go through the portal. If anyone has been caving, okay, that's kind of what it looks like, except just 50,000 times bigger. So you go through the portal and you enter an atmosphere, so it's all within the planet itself. It's kind of like the moon, where most of it is inside the moon. Okay, if you've seen Moonfall, the movie Moonfall, you will get a better idea. Okay, so all the civilizations are inside Venus, and it has mountain ranges, it has you know, their own sun. Their sky is like a light purple or a lilac color. They don't have day and night, it's all artificial. So they can change the lighting, they can create rain, they do the lot. They have lakes, they have animals from all different planets. A lot of them are very conscious, so they are telepathic, incredible. And some of them are just like, you know, your dog or your cat. They take animals from all different planets and, you know, they build a system, an ecosystem, and they have them as pets, and they breed them and all sorts of different things. So they have a wonderful ecosystem. And what their buildings, oh my God. The civilization that I remember the most, which is where I spent the most time, the civilization, the buildings, incredibly high tech, all white, skyscrapers like you wouldn't believe, like 300-400 meters high. You know, it's incredible. All the lights are in the walls or in the ground where you walk. So as you're walking, all the walls and all light up. Everything is consciousness controlled. So there's no buttons, there's nothing like that, except where the humans and other lower vibrational beings, and it's not just humans that they teach, there's a lot of different lower vibrational races that they teach and that they mentor. They do have certain things where, you know, like not so much like a key, but like a card or a thumbprint or something, or an eye scan that lets them in and out through the doors and all, because they're there to learn. They're not at that consciousness level yet where they can just turn on everything just with their just thinking. And this is the direction we're traveling. Okay, so some of the technology we will be receiving in the 6,000 patents that's being released is consciousness controlled technology, and that will only be given to those who are conscious enough to control it. Okay, and that's a really important thing too. You have to earn your wings, so to speak. You don't just, you know, they're not just going to give you something or you know, that you can control with your mind if you're not ready for it. If you can't control your thoughts, you're not going to get it. Okay, it's that simple. So it is incredible. Now they have all sorts of different food. They have a massive dining hall, and this is the area where I'm used to. Massive dining hall, which is probably the size of a football stadium, and they have one side of the wall, probably half of one side of the long side of a wall, that you touch the wall and this whole menu comes up. Okay, this whole menu comes up and you can change things around, you can move things around, and pardon me, it's just like going into like McDonald's or something now, how you've got the screens and you pick what you want. And then the replicators, they go and create the food. So it's like a very large microwave oven, and your food comes out within 5 minutes, hot, ready to eat. And they have dishes from many, many, many different planets, because they teach and have many different races living there. So they would have, you know, like beef steak and lamb and lasagna, all those sorts of things, because they do have a lot of humans. And then they would have humans, you know, human meat on the menu for some of the reptilians. They have all sorts, okay, all sorts of food. And within 5 minutes it comes out and fully cooked. Now you can cook your own food there if you wish. It's not done regularly, but if you wish, you can cook. You know, you can get sweets and cakes and all sorts of different things from many different planets. So if you wanted a Kit Kat, you can get a Kit Kat probably within about 3 minutes. Okay. They have an area that grows vegetables and fruits for those who want the fresh stuff and not from the replicator. So you can walk through and you can pick your own fruit and all sorts of different things. Now the rooms, the sleeping rooms, the area rooms, is just like a large motel room. So you've got a bed. Now the bed pulls out from the wall. You have a table and 2 chairs that also pull out from the wall. You have a bench and an ensuite. Okay, with the humans, it is very much like our ensuites. So you have the toilet, you have the shower. Each room will be different according to the race that is living there, and they can change them around. A lot of the ETs, and this is helpful for some of you guys who are going to have medbed healing centers and you're going to have ETs working. If you include, and they will give you the technology for this because we just don't have it yet. If you include a couple of rooms for ET overnights and for them to have a snooze and that, they have almost like an enclosed bed, like a clear coffin, but it's round. And they can change the atmospheric pressure in that, like a glass, I say like a glass coffin, okay? They can change the atmospheric pressure, the oxygen content, the oxygen level, all that sort of stuff, because where they come from, it's different. Okay, they breathe different air and all sorts, and they need different sleeping arrangements. Okay, they have, some of them can live here on Earth, no problem. Others can stay here for a certain amount of time before they need to get their atmosphere, their oxygen type, into their body. And that's what these beds do. They regenerate them so that they can stay healthy in a foreign or alien environment. Okay, so it's you have 3D people, you have 12D people. Okay, so it all depends on what you're there for, and you have everything in between. Okay, so Venus is not just a planet of higher dimensional people. You have everything from 3D humans right up to, you know, 12D ascended masters and such, and everything in between. It's a come and go station for everybody. And there's multiple different civilizations within Venus, so it's not just one, there's multiple. So if you imagine yourself in the caves, you go in and there is one really large cave, and then you go through a small tunnel, and it could be 20 miles long, and it opens up to another really large cavern, and there's another civilization. There might be, you know, there could be 70, 80, 500 different civilizations within Venus. I only know of the one that I can remember, and that's the one that I always went to. Okay, so their healing is like on a stone, I want to call it like a stone dais, but it's some kind of, or dais, however you say it. It's like a big table, but it's like this stone crystal stuff, and that's where we do all the healing. And incredible, absolutely incredible. I've got memories of having classes of 30 people while I'm up in front, dressed all in white robes, teaching people advanced healing techniques and how to use small handheld healing devices, which is very cool, very cool. Okay, so it's really Venus is amazing. It's really fun. Okay, how many Ds are there? Okay, if you're talking about dimensional frequency, okay, which is related to consciousness, there are many, but we tend to think about them in up to 12. Okay, 12 is like the highest. That's like you've returned to source itself, completely 100% connected with source. Fortunately, I've had several experiences being at 12D. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I've been assisted to get there, but yeah, amazing. It's been wonderful. Okay. Food replicators real? Absolutely. By consciousness controlled, do you mean quantum? No. Okay. Everything's in the quantum field, but consciousness controlled is literally technology that is tuned, or rather you are tuned to the frequency of that technology. So when you have a CD player, okay, you press a button, you press play, and the CD starts. Okay, it starts playing. Consciousness controlled, your mind tunes to the frequency of that CD player, and you put that to it mentally to play, and it plays. Okay, you don't have to push any buttons or do anything like that. It's all your mind. So a lot of spaceships of the higher races are consciousness controlled. So you sit there, there's no control panel. You just sit there and you think about where you're going. So I'm sitting here at the park and I want to go back to the motel. So I just think the motel. I want to go to the motel, and the ship will take me to the motel. Okay? And that's the direction we're moving. Okay? Okay. So they don't have homes on Venus? More like a military camp? Is it a learning center? They do absolutely have homes on Venus. Absolutely. But not so much in the homes that we're used to here on Earth. They're more or less like in high-rise buildings, more or less like apartment kind of structures. But they do have houses, and they do have family environments, just like we do. They just see things and do things a little differently. But the visiting people, it's not like a military camp. It's kind of like a dormitory, if you want to put it that way. It's more like a university dormitory. Yeah, not like a military camp. I feel I'm to be part of a medbed facilities and have worked in hospitals in Dreamtime. This life is 50 years of nursing, guessing to keep doing my work and trusting it to unfold. That's totally your choice. Whatever you feel is what you follow. Okay, if you feel you should, then you should. So these ET sleeping beds should be incorporated into our medbed facility. Presentation on funding. Not necessarily, no. That's something that when you're talking about the med beds, once you've got approval, they'll start talking to you about that. Okay, not everybody will get it because not everybody will need it. Okay, the air in Venus, what is it like? Can you remember what Venus smelled like? It smells like this. It smells the same as Earth. I didn't see much difference, but then my body has been created to be completely acclimatized to the Venusian atmosphere. That was part of my DNA tampering when I was conceived. Okay, so yeah, I'm completely acclimatized. So some humans need a little bit of time and assistance, and we give them oxygen for a couple of days, and then they're fine. Most part, they're okay. Can make you a bit sleepy when you first arrive, so you sleep for 5-6 hours quite heavily, and then you're usually pretty good. What about emotional aspect of life, love, relationship? They are emotional, but they have control of their emotions, so they don't respond to emotions the same as we do. They see things differently, different way of life. For example, if I went to India, I wouldn't understand Indian culture. They wouldn't understand my culture. Same as if I went to China. Okay. All right, I'm going to have to finish here. Okay, this is the first hour. Do you prefer Earth or Venus? Venus. Venus is just, yeah. Alright, I'm going to have to finish here, and we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will get on to part 2, okay? So we'll be back here in 5 minutes. Alright.